friends and compatriots of light. I am Antonia Bale, Queen of Kinos and champion of the righteous and good-hearted souls. I am here to talk to you about your soul and your right to happiness. Do you wish you had the freedom to go for a walk in the bright sunlight, gather flowers, or just grow a garden in your backyard? Do these things sound good to you? All these things are possible under my rule. Do not be fooled by darkness and their lies of audacity, making foolish and terrible promises of freedom when they take nothing but freedom with every step they make and the words they speak. Come, gather around, and I will sing to you a song of freedom. There is peace in the light. We are all free to choose. Do not be fooled by dark. Who has nothing to lose. Come gather with me, and I will save your soul. A job, a home, and peace for all. Paid for by Antonia Bale for Queen. I am Antonia, and I approve this message.
This is RPMMO Radio.
Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
A podcast all about roleplay and MMORPGs.
I like what you got. Good job.
With your hosts, Ashen Phoenix, Sid, Jazz, Sibh'Bae, and Kishmas.
Everybody off. We need to go on a quick adventure.
Hello, roleplayers. Welcome to RPMMO Radio. This is our 52nd episode, Retroactive Continuity. I, of course, am one of your hosts, Ashen Phoenix, and with me, as always, is Jazz, Sib, and Sibh'Bae, and, of course, our call screener, Rahanar, and moderators, Yunfei. Kishmas, unfortunately, couldn't make it. He is, right now, I believe, with a dozen male Asian hookers snorting blow off of their chiseled abs.
Jeez.
Rough deal, bro.
It's not a bad gig if you can get it.
I will leave that to him.
No, that's fine. I mean, I'm not saying you had to, Jimmy. I mean, if you want to join him, clearly you seem a little adamant about, not being invited.
Oh, no.
Are you sure?
Very far away. I'm very sure.
You sure? I mean, if you've never snorted coke off the abs of a hot Asian hooker, male or female, I'm not here to judge.
What's going on, bro?
I'm not here to judge.
Sound like you experienced this before.
I'm not not here to judge. Don't judge me. Don't cocaine. Is it because it's cocaine? What, would you rather crystal meth? Huh? Is that why? Is it my drug? It's my drug of choice. You don't get to drug shame
bro,
me.
I didn't say anything.
You don't get to drug shame me. Oh, or was it the hooker thing? Oh, that probably makes a little more sense, yeah.
Yeah,
drugs are okay for him, but the hookers, that's too far. Man, I tell you. Well, thank you everybody for joining us here at RPMMO Radio. Of course,
Thank
you can... Really? I just said that.
I said it too.
Thank you.
This is why we're never getting this is why we're not ever going to have our real radio show. It's just,
Oh, is it?
This is why. It's the unprofessionalism, really. I mean, first of all, Jazz has to do something twice because she doesn't know how to activate things.
How's that bus feel, Jess?
And,
Yeah, right.
And then your candidate's terrible. I mean, she's clearly... How's she going to pay for all this stuff? She just going to pull jobs out of her bikini'd ass? I mean...
Yes. There are pockets in there.
Vote for the candelier.
Well, there's pockets, all right. You want nothing to do with them.
Mm-mm.
Oh.
No, it's like the cave of mysteries. You never know what's coming out of there.
Ooh.
Sounds like you're
you are
Hint,
mean.
dust. Lots of dust. She ain't have any
I
hairs.
almost said something naughty.
She doesn't have any hairs. I'm just saying.
He did say something naughty.
No, I almost said something naughty about him.
Worse. Got it.
Anyway, so appreciate you guys tuning in to RPMMORadio. We do this every Saturday, 7 Central Time, over at twitch.tv/RPMMORadio, and you can listen to it there with us. We are, of course, a call-in show. You go to rpmmoradio.com/Discord. Throw yourself into our caller waiting room. Rahanar will make sure your shit's working, and that you're not a horrible troll, and, also, you can feel free to send him nudes, whatever gets you to the head of the queue. It's all right. Don't worry about it. Male or female, he doesn't judge. What? I'm just saying. Is nobody? Nothing? Rahanar?
I mean, it's gotten dark in here today. I don't know what's going on.
It's not dark. I mean, it's still 7 here. It's actually pretty bright outside. I don't know where you're at, Texas boy. Or is it so hot there that the literal distortion from the sun and the heat waves actually is bent light to the point where in Texas it is now dark?
Watching paint bubble off cars.
It's so hot there, the homeless people aren't even willing to panhandle. That's how hot it is.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. It's never that hot. They're always out there. So, but you can also listen to us on Apple Podcast, Android Podcast app, Spotify, Podbean, wherever you want to download your favorite casting stuff at. We appreciate every single one of you. If you are listening to us live on Twitch and it is your first time, feel free to subscribe. If you have like an Amazon Prime thing, throws a little money towards the show. Make sure you definitely follow, because why would you not want to come here and listen to this every single week?
Gee, I wonder why.
This again, the negativity, Jazz, is not helping. Is not helping.
Okay. Not helping?
No, it's not helping. Just because I made you sing twice and nobody heard the first time, except for the three of us.
Who had to listen to my horrible singing twice?
Great.
It was
God.
It was fine. I mean, if you want the Simon Cowell impression, I can give you that too.
Ooh, I will totally throw something at you. It was your fault she had to sing twice.
I don't remember it that way.
Yeah, of course you don't.
Because your old brain.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at something shiny. What? But we are actually... out of left field. I also want to give a special thanks to all of our Patreon donors, especially those at the Raid Boss level. That guy Lazza, the Truth Bob, and the newest, and what is now the adorable, sexy trio, Lauren M. You can, of course, support the show over at patreon.com/RPMMORadio. If you want to throw a few bucks our way, we appreciate it. It goes towards some of the projects we have in mind. It'll also go towards improving microphones and things like that to one of these days,
I feel like we need like a song when we announce them. Like, dun, 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 dun.
See, and this is why you don't do the song choice, because you didn't even get that. It was a little pitchy, dog. I'm gonna have to say it's gonna have to be a hard no from me. A little pitchy. You also forgot several of the notes in between there.
I was trying to make it fast.
Oh, see, just like in our marriage, fast over everything else. Yeah.
Oh, you are such an ass.
He's in a mood tonight.
I am in a serious... You know what it is? I'm blaming this on the heat exhaustion. I don't know if anybody else in the country from one side to the other has noticed. It's hot.
It is hot.
Everywhere.
It is hot.
This is something
We're
usually
all
you
just
never
way
bring
too
up
warm.
weather in a radio broadcast, because it's especially nation and worldwide. For you though, outside of the United States, it's probably hot where you are. I'm looking at you, Arctic penguins.
Fairly sure my cowboy hat burst into flames when I was cutting grass earlier. I had to put it out a couple times to make sure my hair wasn't on fire.
It's so hot, married couples don't even have to come up with an excuse not to touch.
No, it's like, hey, do you want to have sex?
No.
Yeah, but can we do it without touching? No. Well, maybe in a month from now. I don't know. It's just hot. Yeah, you want to go watch a movie separately on the couch? Yeah, that sounds fun.
Let's not touch.
You stay on your side, I'll stay on mine, because your body heat's making me angry. Don't touch me.
That's exactly how it works. That's the truth right there.
Isn't it adorable when you see new couples and they're all up on it? It's 100 degrees outside and they're touching and they got their arms around each other. And it's like, oh, that's not going to last long. And also, it's not enjoyable right now. So I can't even say enjoy it while it lasts. You just look miserable.
They're trying so hard, though.
They're trying hard. And it is cute. You make me sick.
Just makes me want to sneer.
Yeah, well, once you've been married for a while, you're like, yeah. Popcorn? Yeah, it sounds good. Let's have popcorn. So, all right. Well, with that, completely unrelated tangent that I wasn't sure. Oh, yeah, it's hot. The end. Under boob sweat, ball sweat. We all got it. It's awful.
Oh, my goodness.
Hey, I'm just saying we all got dangly pits that's like, well, that's not usually dripping.
I mean, he ain't wrong.
When you have to wring out your bra, I mean, come on, ladies, am I right?
Oh,
it's the worst.
Oh, my God.
Let's move on from this topic, shall we?
Okay, well, what have we been doing in roleplay?
Who gets to go first?
That's the seamless transition. It was seamless. All right.
Seamless?
Yeah, seamless. Seamlessly transitioned. Okay. You just get into
It's a good thing you don't
Jazz go.
sew.
See, now I said Jazz go, and she's like, man, not even doing it.
Well, normally, don't you thank our donors? And
I already did that. That guy, Laz the Truth, Bob, and Lauren M. You already even listened to the show. I already did the patreon.com/RPMMORadio thing, and you just tuned out. See, I told you, it's fucking hot. It's just hot. Nobody knows. We can't remember more than 15 seconds. We're all like fucking goldfish right now. God damn, it's hot.
Well, at least goldfish are in cool water.
Yeah.
No, I've seen a pond out there. It was boiling, and the fish were like, damn it, it's hot.
On the hot thing, I watched a little video from a friend of mine. She went outside, and she posted it. It was this video of this person that went outside and saw this little frog on a ledge on the house. Tiny little frog. It's like, 200 degrees outside. So she went and she got a bottle cap and filled it with water, thinking she'd help him take a drink because he's probably really thirsty, stuck on the house like that. He's a frog, not a toad. She puts it up there and he climbed into it. He just climbed into it and sat down in the water like, oh God, thank you.
Yeah, we've had a lot of rain. A lot of worms come out during the rain. They don't last long. It's I feel kind of bad watching something slowly cook alive. Thankfully, there's a Doberman Pinscher on my route. I like to call the vacuum cleaner because when she gets out, she eats them.
Ew.
That's gross.
Well, I suppose it's really good for her, but yeah.
Yeah, I was like, what? She was like, what the hell are you eating? Oh, you're eating She's a beautiful Doberman Pinscher. She's actually red furred, and I don't see a lot of those. She's not black.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. And she loves me.
I almost wasn't able to be here today because we almost got killed by a tornado. But
I saw that.
Missed us. Yeah, it hit Marshalltown first. First tornado they've had in 75 years.
You know what's caused that, don't you?
Me?
I was going to say the gods are angry at the gays. Isn't that always the excuse?
Oh, yeah, right. I keep forgetting.
Up where you're at? Yeah. Bunch of hillbillies.
No, I just did a tornado dance, send it up her way, get a little cool air going.
So everybody's in pickup mode, but it lost all its strength by the time it got to us, and it didn't do any damage.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you guys were all right. It was worried about you.
Significant tornado, so yeah, we all had to check in. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So anyway,
go for it, Jazzy.
I was on vacation for for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So I was gone. I wasn't anywhere near electronics for the most part. I took my notebook with me, but I just never got around to being online. So, but when I got back, Roleplay jumped right in there. So here we go. We're going to do story mode today. So
okay.
Earlier in the month, Magister Sildreni met with her father's new Talani mouth to test her for loyalty and to see what she might say on her own turf Her slave and her lover were there, and Sully threw out a few outrageous comments to see how the mouth would react, and instead of defending her master, she agreed and even added a few of her own. Amused, Sully let the conversation play out, and when she returned home, she sent 2 of her spies in motion to keep an eye on several of the people involved in this story, Micah, Delatorre, and now this new mouth. And then I went on vacation. When I got back, both spies were waiting for Sully to wander back into existence, and they reported nearly the same thing, that the new mouth was planning to kill her father's previous mouth and had delusions of grandeur concerning her own level of power against others, using her father in his stand against Talani. Her father is a master as well and was her sponsor. She also, this new mouth also continued to embolden against one of Sully's minions, his name is Kaio, by attacking him verbally whenever she had a chance, whether he was there or not. And this was starting to wear on Sully's nerves. On Fridas, we have our Telvanni meeting. And during the meeting, both Sully's former mouth and her father's new mouth made snarky comments against Kaio, Sully's minion, and she sharply reminded both of them of civility and decorum. Her father's mouth refused to respond, but her former mouth acquiesced and apologized to Sully when spoken to about it. Sully pulled her father's mouth away from the crowd and her clingy slave to speak with her privately, hoping to avoid embarrassment, and just pointing out that all she really wanted from this new mouth was a nod or some kind of sign that she had heard her, and acquiesced that she would try not to do that again. Her father's mouth then began to lecture Sully on what Sully should do with this minion. Cut him loose, he's worthless. And Sully reminded her this was none of her concern, but then was told by this mouth that she would not stop doing these things. Sully pointed out that she would actually do exactly what she was told because that was the rules. The mouth basically said, if that makes you feel better to think that, cool. And Sully then told the mouth that she would take it up with her master. After doing so, explaining her position and vexation to her father, a fellow master, her father called the mouth to face him and ordered her to kneel to prove her fealty, and she refused. The slave followed after his mistress left by making a quip that her father was a very small man. I'll let you figure out what that means. Having been told by his mistress of such, Typhon, which is her father, told both the slave and his former mouth that if she walked out, she was done, and she did not stop. Now, the other masters in the room were very shocked that Typhon would order such a step. It's not typical, making her kneel in front of others. But after a spirited discussion, they realized that he was correct to the notion that a test of fealty is not only recommended, but normal in circumstances where a mouth was not following the oath to their master and following his wishes. Later on, the slave returned to talk to Taviset, one of the masters, and after making some snide comments to Sully, calling her a beer wench and a mouse, both of which made Sully laugh. He then retreated, being escorted out by 2 of Sully's minions. And he threatened them and Sully and the rest of the Telvanni for this debacle. Sully had a good laugh. Everybody left. And when she returned home, she penned a letter to the new commander of the Abbey asking for a meeting before she went to bed. She sent it via messenger, and hopefully that will bring about some interesting times. On Zasher, he attended an event where the Abbey was instructed to gain access to an item that had been misplaced or stolen. He really didn't pay much attention to that, as it didn't concern him. He fell into place and marched with the others, following orders to secure in a boat where the item was supposedly stashed. A fight broke out, and an orc or 3 was subdued. Then they returned to the Abbey, where he got back into street clothes and went to the kitchen to eat, and then he walked home, taking the long way home to think about his place in the world and where this path he was on was taking him. Sial continues to work on her walking and recovery after being grievously injured in an off-screen battle. She has forced herself to learn to walk again despite the pain, and her mate Sejoris and her friends have kept vigil, keeping her spirits up and her mind focused on healing. On Kiakiris, which is my main, she has met with several new members and potential members, explaining how Alanu works. She is gravidly pregnant, really big, and due in a few weeks. So she's grumpy and exhausted and very done being pregnant. At the Turtis Guild event, which is our Thursday event, she was allowed to serve and was not allowed to serve and had to stay off her feet which did not make her happy. She made sure Taviset was ready to help her with her delivery, and once her mate showed up, she went home with him to wait for the arrival of their daughter, which will happen in a couple. And that is all for me.
Very good.
You're welcome.
Sounds like you had a lot once you got back. Yeah, you were
road
trip with the kids.
I got slammed, and which was welcome because I hadn't had any role play in a week. So it was really nice to get back into the swing. And after being in a car for 10 hours each way with 3 boys was stressful, but not stressful. They're a lot of fun.
Right. It's still a car trip. They're always...
Yeah, it's a car trip, and I was the driver, so it was very long.
Yeah, that's cool. Sounds like you had a lot when you got back. That's very nice. What about you, Sibh'Bae? Got anything?
Last weekend, I was out of town at the lake. I wasn't gone quite as long as Jazz, but, I mean, I did have a good time getting away from everything.
Yeah.
Going on the water, fishing with some buddies. And got back Monday. My character, I can't even think of his name. He's Dunmer dude. Kizdian. Yeah, that guy. Tells you how much I'm invested in that guy. Went to Ordinator Boot, where I was instructed on, or where Evol was instructing people how to throw fireballs, which Kizdian already did, but he played along and had some bad rolls. So they went flying over the Abbey and this and that. So it was fun. He did notice that his buddy, the muscle-bound idiot, wasn't there, so he's like, well, I'm sure he's in the arms of a local tavern wench of his choice.
Yep.
Tuesday night, I was ambivalent. I was like, man, I don't want to do poetry, but I'll do it anyway. And it was actually quite awesome. I had a full house, minus my normals, which are Jazz and Sibby's and a few others. I actually had a full house full of people I didn't even... some people I knew, some people I didn't know. Caves finally showed up. He was like the only one I did know for sure. That was a lot of fun. Everybody participated, and we ended right on time. So that was really a fun night.
Cool.
Well, that's cool, yeah.
Met a crazy Khajiit lady. She was super cool. Saw her again on Friday night. Wandered in Friday night to the Guild... Thursday night, rather, to the Guild RP Hall. And... Trithal spoke with Unify's character, Bree, about possibly working for the Order of Aldmera Society. She seemed interested. I've yet to do the next follow-up step, which is her to come by for an interview at Trithal's house and to explain, how the things work and all that. And she's interested. It might go good places. I'm excited about that as well. She knows magic, which is super exciting to Trath because he's been without an archmage in his society for a while. Friday, I kind of dodged everybody, and actually no, Thursday. Okay, so I was late to everything because Thursday night I started cutting the grass at the church house. Friday night I continued to cut the grass at the church house. Today, I got up at 10, got out there. I didn't leave till like 2 something. So yeah, it was like a huge yard, but I was a 0-point mower. It was a lot of fun.
Flying around.
I have a nice sunburn on my arms now. So hey. I've been late to RP, but the RP I've gotten has been good. Passing on to Sibs.
Well, you got Sib. I know you didn't have a whole lot, but still got to hit you.
I'm going to slap it on the Ashen. I got nothing this week. So
yeah, it was a real rough week. Even I've only got about one thing that's even worth mentioning, so it's largely just coming home and passing out, maybe vegging out in front of the couch.
It is summer. A lot of folks are out or gone.
Yeah.
So it is that.
I had a lot of real life stuff going on. So
yeah.
I just wasn't around.
Yeah. College kids. College kids
and one that's getting their permit. So yeah.
Yeah. So we've got that fun coming ahead.
But go for it, Ashen.
So, about the only thing noteworthy was with Kishmis, actually. His character, Roger, this week on Monday stepped down from being commander. Tarvala has always looked up to him. They're basically almost like bratty brother and sister at this point. She had been away for a couple days, off doing things that Tarvala does when I'm not playing. Take your pick. Usually it's practicing or off visiting her father. But when she came back, she went into the Abbey and was looking around for people and heard some commotion in infirmary where she went down and checked up and saw Ordinator Malel working on another Ordinator who had looked like he was pretty out of it, had a big, nice, nasty, pus-filled, oozing wound on his leg, which was from a giant wasp sting, which, if you're not familiar with the wasps in most fantasy games, is the size of a small border collie.
Yeah, they are.
So being stung by one of those fully is like being stabbed with a poison knife. So they were down there cleaning that out, and she asked him what was going on, what had happened, and it was from a mission and an event that they had done earlier before I had managed to show up finally. And then, just in passing, he mentioned, Malel had mentioned that Roger was no longer commander and had stepped down, and of course the first thing she thought of was the worst, that, he's probably dead, and that's why he stepped down. It's one way to step down as a commander. You're dead.
Yeah.
Seems logical. He assured her no, Travis had taken the place, which is the Truth Bob, who's now the new commander. So she went to seek him out, and they actually ran into each other looking for one another. So it was just meant to be. I mean, nothing happened after that. There was no romance. It was just meant to be. So they went to the tower, and he talked him through. They talked. She asked if he thought he was ready for it, and what to remind him that his. What came before does not have to come after, that you got to run things your own way. You can't try to live up to the standards of the people before you. You've got to find your own path, that kind of thing. She did get told that she is in temporary command of the Ordination of War, which is the one she's always been in and what she's always kind of strived to be. It's what she's the Yalif of, which is like second in command of it. So she's now basically fully in command, but she's... how can they make me part of the council but not yet make me a master? So she's in charge of that, but she's actually not a full high ordinator yet. But that probably is, OOC, it's coming in character, like she knows that, that's the difference between doing something, knowing things that are coming OOC and in character. In character, she didn't see it coming. OOC, they already asked me and everything like that. So it'll be exciting. I have few idea and events for bringing them closer together and things like that. But that was pretty much it for me. Like I said, I did play a little bit of Star Trek, but it was nothing but bar talk. Nothing's after this week. Their story is going to continue to advance, so hopefully next week I'll have something really interesting to tell about that over there on the war stuff. But for now, that's excuse me, pretty much all I have. Like I said, it was just fucking hot. So,
the Truth Bob said, "You are part of the council, but do not have the rank of master."
That's right. Yeah, I think I said that wrong. I don't remember. I don't remember the quote off the top of my head when I'm talking out my ass. What'd you say, Stray?
You'll always be our Yalif, so who cares?
Yeah. Well, yeah. No matter what, she'll always be out there with the people because she likes role playing, and I like to role play. One of my least favorite things in role play is when you're in and you have to do it sometimes. I get it because it's kind of the position you get in where you have to just stand there like a statue while other people role play around you. That is so boring to me. I hate it. It's not fun. So I typically avoid things where that might be the case. I'll do it every now and then, especially if I know if there's a payoff afterwards, that's cool. But if, from the time something starts to the time something ends, you're just a figurehead. I can be a figurehead offline and playing something else for that hour that I'd enjoy a little bit more. But that's just me. I mean, I know some people don't have a problem with it, but I've only got so much time to play, so yeah, I'm going to be a little selfish with my time.
I think a trooper's got more trust in the Yalif because she gets down there and drinks them every once in a while and talks to him.
Yeah, even if it is just tea. She's not a heavy drinker. She actually she had drank once before she came to the Abbey, and she got in a lot of trouble for that. it loosened her lips up and she got mouthy, and that it went very badly. But that was in her dark days when she was the carry of the group, basically, always being made fun of. Poor Carrie. So, all right. Well, with that, I don't think we had anything else with the Kishmas still, I believe, snorting blow off the chiseled stomachs of hookers.
I mean, that's crazy, man. I can't believe you stepped down. I didn't even hear about it till today.
Yeah, I understand it. I mean, I wish he was here to explain why. He's just been burnt out, and it happens. You just being an officer is not like, I know a lot of people that how many Jazz had all of you. We've all seen people that are just strive to have that authority and that officership. It's really not. You've really got to.
Sounds like a show topic.
Yeah, well, it kind of is. I think we've hit it before, kind of.
Yeah, we've talked about it before, I think.
It's just it's not as fun. It's a lot of work. Excuse me. It's like Jez said. It's a second job.
It's a second job, and it sounds a lot more fun than sometimes it is. And if it's not your cup of tea, you need to get out before you.
And he's excellent at it, but he was already burnt out. So when you're burnt out, and then you get and actually, if I remember the timeline correctly, he was already about to step down to the position he's in now when they needed him to step up. So he did it for the guild, which is great. You step up when you need it. That's why I think he was such a great leader, because he was reluctant. He didn't really want to do it, but he still did it to the best of his ability. He wasn't there for the power and the authority. He just did it to try to help the guild out. And now that, he can step down, then there's somebody else that can step up. It's all good, Yeah. And that's the way you should do it. Because if you're not having fun with your role play, whether you're an officer, whether you're just a player, whether it may be the guild, guild's not striking a chord with you. You got it. It's your $15. And more importantly, it's your time. Man,
I know he was getting pretty irritated lately, so I just like leading into his fun factor.
Yeah, and I hope I'm sure he'll talk about it when he's here. So we're just gonna talk about him, behind his back, in front of his face, to everybody. But it's just one of those things, when you're not having fun, you got to really, really look and see what's best for you, and go from that perspective onward.
Yep.
And I really do hope he finds his fun in the role play again, because it's not any fun when you don't have fun doing this stuff anymore.
There's no point to it if you're not having fun.
No,
so.
I mean, it's, it's like going to, it's like, watching a TV show you hate. Well, why did you turn it on? I mean, I get it if you're over at your grandma and grandpa's house and they watch shitty television, you don't have a choice, but, it's at your house. You don't.
Like being Darth Vader and you just are tired of force choking out your subordinates.
Yeah. I don't think that ever happens, but something like that.
Something like that.
So all right.
Oh,
well,
it's Gary from Sub Engineering. I don't feel like force choking him today.
Fucking Gary. But okay, so with that, let's go ahead and do our advertisement. Second advertisement, actually, for another one of these awful politicians, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think things are about to get a little ugly.
Good evening, role players. I am Arthur Maxon, and I'd like to chat a moment. Did you know there are those among us who would shatter our hopes for peace, order, and security? These radical malcontents don't care about you. They don't care about role play. All they care about is fulfilling their own selfish desires. Let's take a tally of these agitators, shall we? There are, of course, the trolls. Those anarchistic ruffians who roam the realms, preying on any and all, stealing, player killing, the like. There's also the so-called Lucan Delir. Now don't be fooled by his pseudo-nightly nonsense or supposed connection to early roleplay hubs. His plate-armored goons are nothing more than common criminals with access to some antiquated ideas. And don't be fooled, role players. Those who have left Freeport, branded exiled role players, are just as dangerous, even more so being an exile. And what about the ERPers of Penelope's little school? The frightening extremist goons of Jism IV? And last but not least, the hideous, deceptive Kinosians that have completely saturated the entire roleplay realms, accepting any roleplay, no matter how strange or how purple the Wookiees. Lawlessness, terror, murder, they're all around us, I know. I know. But not for long, dear roleplayers, not for long. Oh no, the Brotherhood of Steel will restore peace, order, and prosperity to the great roleplay multiverse. And those who oppose us will be re-educated. Vote Maxon, vote Steel. Paid for by roleplayers for Steel.
I don't know if we're gonna have to have Politico check up on some of those facts. I think.
Sounds like a solid dude.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure he is solid. I doubt very much that he's incorporeal. I just don't think he's truthful.
I guess truth is in the behind the beholder, as it were.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's why beholders have so many eyes, because the truth to them is flaccid.
Now, if we're talking beholder eyeballs from like D&D, they only have one eye.
Don't they have all those little stalks? Oh, I'm thinking of the little guy from Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, you're thinking of that little thing.
Yeah, he was fucking creepy.
He was very creepy.
Yeah.
You are terrible.
What?
You are all terrible. I
Who's
love it.
terrible?
I mean, if you think you think your character or your president rather has been slandered, you're more than welcome to do a rebuttal at a future date.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Hey man, he's my kind of guy. He's throwing the gauntlet down.
Yeah, well, yep. Just remember, sometimes those bounce. I mean, they don't. I'm just not exactly. I mean, it's metal. Maybe it bounces once, but I don't know.
The Brother of Steel always lands on his feet. Just saying.
Yeah. Till somebody from like Vault 101 comes out and it's like, boom, everyone's dead. But, we'll see.
No counter Agents of Chaos, but yeah.
So, all right, well, let's hit our main topic today, brought to you in part by Rahanar. Rahanaros. Eat your Rahanars every day.
Oh my god.
What?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Okay, well, anyway. So, retconning. We've mentioned it off and on. We've actually got into... Yeah, I know, Rahanar. It's okay. He's confused, too. But we've mentioned retconning before, and we wanted to go into it. Rahanar is actually the one that brought this up. I was just curious if anyone else had a topic, and I don't think we've actually gone into this in specific cases. I know we've mentioned things that, like, Jazz recently had a thing that had to be retconned. It is the nuke it from orbit. It's the last ditch effort. It's the Hail Mary pass, that kind of thing.
I was gonna say it could be a useful tool. It also could be used as a nasty weapon against your fellow role players.
Yeah, and it often is. In fact, going through the list, I was like, this one is on here twice under should and shouldn't. So that just tells you it is situational. So before we go into it, retcon, I actually had I always forget what it means. I actually had to look it up again. I was like, fuck, I know it. It's Radioactive Connecticut. It wasn't that, by the way. It stands for Retroactive Continuity. Oddly enough, the title of the episode.
Imagine that.
Right? So, in film, television series, and other works of fiction, it's a piece of new information that imposes a different interpretation on previously described events. Typically used to facilitate a dramatic plot shift or account for inconsistencies. Like in TVs and movies, we get that stuff all the time where they're they think it's going one way, and then an actor leaves or dies or something like that, and they or it was just a terrible plot point. I forget what was that one.
Since you are playing Star Trek, it's pretty much Enterprise. Like in the original canon,
right?
They don't see Klingons till much later, and then they start fighting.
Yeah, or
Enterprise,
I recently started
Klingon
watching
on Earth right before Earth is warp capable. It's like really.
Yeah, it's stuff like that, and I recently started watching Discovery because I found out I didn't want to have to pay CBS for it, but I found out you get a 7-day free trial on Amazon. So I'm going to watch that whole show, 15 episodes in 7 days. I've got 2 left. It's actually really good, but at the same time, it takes place before, it's like after Enterprise, before Kirk, because it's during the Klingon War stuff. Like, why... The Klingons look cool, but why they look like that, I don't know.
Isn't that the new movie universe, like the alternate, whatever the crap that is?
Well, it's kind of is, but it's at the same time, it's not. It uses it uses the J.J. Abrams like effects and stuff like that, but it's still part of the continuity as far as I could tell. I looked it up just to see, and like, you know, it's got Spock's dad in it. They mentioned Spock specifically, you know, and things like that. So it's really good. I've actually enjoyed it. At first, I was like, they really, really retroactively doing a lot of stuff. And then, like, 3 episodes, it was like, okay, so it's like a modern-day version of they actually hit some of the modern-day versions of way they doing Trek. Like, with this is clearly still that same cheesy plot they've done before, just modernized. So, yeah. But, you know, like, there was a show called Witchblade, which is based off the comic book series. And they did the worst thing you could possibly do. The first season was terrible. So at the very last episode, they thought they might get a second one. So at the last episode, something happened, and then it undid everything in the first season. So you watched the whole first season. The last episode made the whole first season not happen. They sent it all back in time to the very first episode. And then they didn't get a second season, so it didn't pay off. You know? Yeah. But that's like, you know, it's like a terrible way of, you know, comic books do it all the time. You know? It's something that's used a lot in especially long book series, you know, where they're like, you know, early on, they're like, oh, this will be a neat thing. And then as the story progresses, they're like, oh, shit, now I've got a loose end. I'm going to have to snip that. Yeah. Is that one of them old people fantasy shows? Shut up, stupid.
I was thinking Men in Tights, and put your thing in there and snip the tip.
That's right.
Who's first?
Yeah. And you snip the tip. I love that it was a little tiny dick-sized guillotine. Yeah.
I love Mel Brooks.
I miss that guy. It's sad that the only thing he does now is those Hotel Transylvania voiceovers. I love Mel Brooks. He's good stuff.
Well, he's really old.
Oh, he's real old. Yeah, but he can still just write and direct.
But I think he's kind of to that point where he's like just doing a few things.
Well, I also think it's because anything he would do, they would boycott it.
There is a rumor that he's doing Spaceballs, Search for Money, but it's a prequel, kind of to knock on Star Wars and be like Origins of Lone Star and like craziness. But I don't know if it's gonna happen.
I've heard that since the Star Wars prequels came out in like the early 2000s, though. So I don't know.
I don't think
Mel Brooks saying that. Yeah.
I don't think Mel Brooks could survive the current climate.
Do you imagine doing the Young Frankenstein or, God forbid, Blazing Saddles?
No.
The new sheriff is gone. Yeah. You're
You'd
getting
have a
away
horde
with
of
that.
angry hair buns burning down the movie theater, or the studio, wherever they're at. MGM.
Yeah. Now you can't even have actors pretending anymore. You've got an amputee getting mad at The Rock for playing an amputee. You've got transgendered people getting mad at Scarlett Johansson for not being transgendered, playing a transgender person.
It's like, just let her play. She's an actress. Let her play the freaking role. Oh my goodness!
And I hate to tell people, but if you have other people, not those two, doing your movie, no one's going to show up to it. Nobody's going to see Skyscraper because The Rock happens to be an amputee in the movie. They're seeing it because The Rock fucks shit up. And he jumps on top of a 210-story building. You know, it's stupid. Just and that stuff needs to be retconned.
It does need to be retconned.
See what I did there?
You brought it back.
There we go.
I don't understand why we can't just go see movies and just watch them.
Yeah.
Why do we have to read shit into them?
I agree. I am
What's the movie?
Fairly liberal, and I think it's ridiculous. It's like, I want to go to a movie, and I really don't care what the actor or actress is. I just want to watch the movie. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, it
Thank
wasn't
you,
deep.
Jess.
It wasn't this. It wasn't that. It's like, it's a
was-
movie.
yeah. If you
It's
want
about a
citizen-
guy with a hammer. Can you stop trying to expect
like if you
Age
go
of
to
Africa out of Africa?
it's not a documentary. If you want to go to a documentary, yeah, okay, I get it. It's supposed to have a message. I want to see that message because that's why I watched a fucking documentary.
You watch Star Wars because you want to see light sticks and stormtroopers running around.
Right.
I mean, come on now.
Yeah, I don't want to see the pro gun or anti gun establishment and
Yeah, you don't want to see
all
none of that.
Just
You
you
wanna
know
go see
what?
Star Wars.
I don't care. Just whatever. Just do your story. And if it happens to have
crazy.
a cool, I love one of my favorite movies from Disney when they started getting their shit together was WALL-E. Love WALL-E. It's a very romantic movie. It's all about consumerism. And it's like, okay, it's from Disney. I don't think Disney's going to be like, you know what? You shouldn't consume.
They're more like, in fact, not only should you
Like-
enjoy our movie, you should come check out the WALL-E part of our theme park, and
Right.
stay in our hotels,
Yeah, I know,
and
right?
swim in our pools.
You
Oh, and
too
buy
can
our
meet
loot.
animatronic WALL-E. Ugh.
And then buy the action figures.
Yeah.
I love
And that's
WALL-E.
just part of it, but still have fun with it. You can have fun with something and not turn everything into some kind of
Yeah, and that's the and
A
sometimes they do. Like I saw a thing from the director of the Black Panther movie. He was like I love Black Panther. Don't get me wrong, but he was going over like, and this little piece on the costume is reminiscent of the something tribe, and it's like, dude, nobody's gonna get that. I mean, it's cool. I mean, it's a nice detail, but that message is completely lost. I don't know where you're going. No, there's like 8 people that are gonna get that one, buddy. I'm sorry. Can't we just enjoy like 2 guys kicking each other's ass in awesome kitty cat suits that aren't furries?
You're so bad.
I mean, I would
Monkey's
pay to
Hell.
watch furries fight. We'll call it Furry Wars. 2 furries enter, 1 furry leaves. 2
be
furries
the new
enter, 1
Bloodsport.
furry leaves.
We just lost all our furries.
I'd be down for that for being a new blood sport, man. I'll donate plasma rifles and laser rifles to that show.
I want a plasma rifle.
I do too. Sadness.
Yeah. Now we're
And a
sad.
hoverboard.
So
I'll give it
anyway,
all for a hoverboard.
man, I would love for a hoverboard.
Fist of furry.
Fists of furry.
Honor.
Nice,
retconning
Rohanar.
furries.
Nice. But all right. So with the retconning, when should you do it? It is, like we said, it is very, very situational. It's always used as a last resort. If it's the first thing you go to, you're probably on the wrong side of that.
Yeah.
You're probably like, we've got several examples here. Sorry, I keep trying to like hiccup or burp, and I'm really not sure which one it's going to be, so I have to go quiet. Because if it's hiccup, it's adorable. If it's a burp, gross. What? It's true.
This random moment brought to you by Ash and Phoenix.
Hey, I don't
Buy
have
all his
ADD.
playsets and toys.
ADD. I'm back in... Ooh, hey, look, a squirrel. I actually have a shirt that says ADHD spelled like ACDC, so it
Or
fits.
sold separately.
But it's important thing to consider when retconning a situation to keep in mind. It doesn't affect just you. It's going to affect everybody involved with that. And it may it's a snowball effect, and it could involve an entire guild. It could involve multiple guilds, depending on how big the retcon is. A lot of times they don't get quite that big, but they can. When one thing has gone on for a while and then somebody ends up being a turd, it could snowball into dozens of people. But and however, the directly involved parties aren't the only ones to have to deal with it, and that is up to the direct role players involved and who they say is involved. Nearly always, you have at least one group who will flip out or cry foul, and this is often this is when it's like typically guild on. It's guild on guild, baby. Hey, you know what I was saying? Ah, hell yeah.
Oh, Lord.
This offensive moment brought to you by Jazz. Jazz for all your offensive moments.
Hey!
Man, racist.
It's always somebody that didn't get their way, and they're blowing it way out of proportion. And rather than talking to people and trying to get it straight, they really cook off the mini nuke.
Yeah, or they're I don't know, they're just having just something. Either they don't want consequences or they didn't look as cool as they thought they did.
Yeah. The technical word you mentioned, they're being turds.
Turds. Be turd heads.
Yep.
Turd.
Being a massive turd over there. That's what I tell you right now. You over there, you're leaning on the wall, finally actually said something. Shit didn't go your way, and you're like, you know what? I'm going to have to retcon all this, and I've been leaning on this wall here the whole dang time. So that's what's going to happen now. Thanks for wasting an hour of my time, you dickhole.
We had an edgelord, and wall-leaning edgelord at the poetry hour of the day. And right before you get to talk to them, they leave.
It's like, oh, human interaction.
I will say, Cave found a Argonian lady who was edgelording on the wall, and then they were talking it up, chatting it up. So she turned out to be kind of neat. I said, "Get it, Caves, OOC," and he's like, "Shut up, Straffe." I said, "Lady Caves, activate, go."
Yeah, and I will say too, there is a difference. There is actually a difference between what Whoopdini in the chat and Yunfei are talking about too, between revision and revising things and retconning. Sometimes things might need to be, like she was saying, when I first met her character Bree, we did our role play, but she was still new to the character, so she, after the fact, thought a little more about it, got a better feel for the character because it was her first interaction role playing, so she revised a few things. They weren't retconned; it just changed up a little bit. That's actually not a bad solution. Sometimes that's what you have to do in order to keep the retcon from happening.
Yeah.
But sorry, I've just got phlegm tonight. It's just going to be awful. So that's actually something in the alternative column. You don't, revising things is definitely preferable to a retcon, because a retcon basically wastes everyone's time. A revision, it just maybe changes a few details here and there. Maybe your background was a little different, or if you decided, I want the roleplay to stay the name same, but like I didn't like the character's name, so I re-rolled her or him.
Yeah,
that's no big deal. Most people, they don't. They're like, oh yeah, okay, that's cool.
There's also the mini retcon if like you miss something in the tavern because there's chat going everywhere, and you ask the same question, or you assumed it was somebody and they're like, dude, they didn't say that. Then you can do mini retcon. Okay, this.
Yeah,
that one's fairly harmless.
Yeah, missing things in chat and then someone's like, they don't realize that you missed it. They're like, apparently got ignored, and the person's like, oh no, I actually didn't see that. I'm sorry, and then they respond, and you retcon the I felt ignored and turned away kind of thing. It happens, Those little ones like that. That's like one-liners, I guess you could say, when somebody just missed something. Or one thing that happens a lot in text, where in that same vein, Straffe, is when someone's typing out something long, and maybe they're quick typers, but it looked like they were finished talking, and then you say something and that asks the question, and like they answer it, they hit it right. They give you the answer before you actually hit enter to ask the question. And then you're like, oh, never mind, retcon, because you just, obviously no reason for me to ask it because you just said that right above where I had asked.
The deal, and you got a brick of text going out, and
it happens. Like running events, I've had people like, hey, did you catch my thing? And I'm like literally in the middle of writing it already, so I'm just like, there's no reason for me to delete what I'm saying. I just hit enter, and they're like, oh, never mind. But yeah, there are like little things like that are definitely things that are typically acceptable for retcons. Just like, oh hey, I missed what you were saying. Oh hey, you just answered the question. You just you were still typing another paragraph or another sentence, or you got to the, like in Star Trek. Oh my God, the length, the number of characters you can have in a single line of text is ridiculously small. It drives me crazy. I feel like I should be able to at least get a whole paragraph out, not a sentence and a half, before I'm like, continued.
Yeah, Star Trek's bad about that.
Yeah, it's just game developers. I mean, I get it. You can't have it infinitely long, but, more than what Twitter allows would be a good start. More than 240 characters. We're good with that. It's all right. But Like we were saying too, going back to the group thing, man, that typically seems to be for me where a lot of retcons come in when you have a larger group, especially opposing groups coming into play.
Yeah. I agree.
It takes one unhappy drama llama on the other side of that big guild event to cook this off to go crazy, because they can say, this happened to me, and it could be totally untrue. But their officership's going to believe it because that's their member.
Right.
And instead of talking to the other group, they just immediately start, none of that happened because we're cool guys, and you guys suck,
Yeah.
I've seen that happen a lot.
Excuse me. Golly, I cannot get that.
Do you have water over there?
I do, but it's one of those things that's like deep in your esophagi.
Get that man a whiskey shot.
I have some honey crown out there I'm going to have after the show. I'm going to try that. I just needed the honey crown bag my other bag is getting old and I needed a replacement. So what better way to get a new bag than buy whiskey?
There you go.
There you are.
There you go.
I need to bring you a bottle of Rebecca Creek. It has the same kind of velvety bag, except it's maroon. It's got a big Texas star on it.
Nice. Texas.
Right.
But yeah, so when you've got the two groups going at it, and if one group flips out or like Sibh'Bae said, usually it's just one guy that starts it, and then the rest of the group goes along with it, because you always back your homie. So sometimes you got to explain it patiently and calmly why the retcon is necessary, and apologize and move on. Typically, it still ends in hurt feelings in that.
Oh, almost always.
Yeah, because you guys have just wasted all your time.
Yeah.
That's the thing you need to remember with any and all retcons is you're basically saying you're just wasting time. You just wasted time. Everyone's time. Yours, everyone else's around you. For whatever reason it is, you're going to do that. It's not so bad if you can get everyone to agree, like, okay, well, we thought this was going to go this way. Turns out that it was just a bad idea. It's not working out. Can we all agree that, maybe this, we'll just let it go? And, that seems exceptionally rare, however.
Yes, it is.
That doesn't happen a whole lot. And I wish it happened more, but when feelings and emotions get involved, people just get pissed. I mean, it's just flat out. They just get pissed off.
I think a lot of it's because, people don't like to waste their time. The thing about roleplay is it's kind of a living thing. So once you do something, then other people have roleplay, which have roleplay, which have roleplay, and it's like a ripple in a lake. It just keeps getting bigger. And then if you suddenly pull the plug on something that was fairly large, it's really upsetting to a lot of people who maybe enjoyed the roleplay or who liked that they could jump off that topic and create more roleplay. So it is really disruptive, and that is something that has to be considered before you do the retcon, is how many people are we talking about here? And the only thing you can hope for is that the people are honest, and they're usually not.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you're saying too, the ripple effect, because especially if it's a bigger event, and a lot of role play sprouts off of that, like the tree thing and the bush thing we're always talking about. If it all sprouts off of that, and then you take away that core, you left all those branches just hanging out in space. Like now all this side role play that has come off of it, all these discussions maybe between individuals, like, hey, what did you think about whatever? You've just, you've pulled the rug out from under their feet, and now they got to make something else up, or they have to undo all that as well, which is just, it sucks.
That's why it should be used as little as possible. And I really do think that it's used far too much. They don't like the outcome. They retcon everything.
Yeah, we've definitely got some examples of that here.
Yeah, and that's the problem, is that it needs to be used as an absolutely last solution if nothing else works.
Yeah, and unfortunately for like we've said, for the most part, most role players, 90-95% are pretty decent. They understand that, it's a living, breathing construct that you're, in tapestry, if you want to, that you're weaving with fellow role players and other people around you. So when you don't get your way because maybe the tapestry's not turning out the way you want to, you can't just start pulling your thread and take your yarn and go home. You fucking unravel everything around it. It turns into a giant mess. Then Grandma's very disappointed because you've ruined her crochet.
Exactly.
Pity the fool who upsets Grandma.
That's right. Fuck that guy. So with that, well, let's hit when you should, or when some things may come up that you should like retcon for, like what's legitimate reasons and things like that.
Well, like when I was running my guild in EQ, we had a big inter-guild thing, and it built up over several weeks. It was really fairly large, and it involved 2 major guilds and a couple little guilds. They were monster slayers, and we were the monsters. So I had entered into it dubiously, but after a great deal of negotiation, we agreed to roll dice. We agreed all this other stuff so that it would be fair. We all accepted that nobody could kill anybody's character without permission, but beyond that, it was pretty open season, and we kind of went forward. And it went really well for 2 weeks. And then at the end of the 2 weeks, we had our big battle, and they lost the roll. Which meant that they lost. They had to roll 3 things. We had to roll on where the battle was going to be, who got to strike first, and who won. They won the first 2 rolls. The last one, they lost. So in the end, the monsters were going to win.
Right.
And I was like, well, that, really makes a lot of sense. But yeah, we'll go with that.
Well, I mean, that's the thing.
Yes.
It can go either way.
Right. That's why you roll dice.
Right.
And I was like, they lost, the guild leader and 3 of the major players within their guild lost their shit. And I was stunned because, like I said, this was weeks of RP, constant RP. I never saw any of this coming. And they were like, you're monsters, you don't get to win. We're the good people, you don't get to win. Yes, it did. Very good. I remember that one.
Seems like I remember some of this.
Yeah, was
yes,
it what you said something
there.
With kidnapping? It started with kidnapping a child?
No, she's talking...
That's another one?
That's a different one.
Okay.
That was bad from the get-go, and we ended up retconning it. I knew it was going to be retconned 3 days before it actually happened. Because I could see it coming, like writing on the wall. No, this one was out of the blue. And they absolutely refused to negotiate. I was like, look, we rolled. You got to attack first. You got to have it on your home turf. We attacked you,
right.
We were going to attack you. You got us.
You were the aggressors.
Right. We got to be the aggressors on their home turf, and, they got to be ready for us, for example. It wasn't, we were going to try to surprise them, but they were ready for us. They had, divine and all that other stuff, so we were at a great disadvantage.
But you zerged them, yeah.
Right. We zerged them. There was just too many of us. Well, in the end, we agreed to, it was a different one, Yunfei. The one with the child and the kidnapping was another messy one. This was, so I talked to my guild and I said, look, they're really upset. So how about we just fall back to our normal routine, which is each person that fights each person has to roll for who wins the hits or who wins that fight. And we go it that way.
Yeah, and then whoever skilled wins the most would end up being,
right.
Last man standing kind of a thing.
And they liked that idea. They loved that idea. I thought it was all going to be okay. No, because they really rolled terribly.
So then they lost that one.
So then they lost that one, and then they were just like, it just got really, right in the middle of it, like we were in, when it has to be in spatial because people are flipping out. We had to just pause everything and talk. And they just wouldn't negotiate, and they started talking about how you people are all like this. People who play monsters are just bad.
Sore losers.
Yeah.
I think I remember this now, Jazz.
Yes, you rolled. This wasn't any. I had no control over the dice.
It literally was. It's a literal flip of a coin, 50-50.
Right. There's no way anybody can cheat on this, and then they were just like, well, we're just going to have to win and you're just going to have to lose. I'm like, okay, we're just going to have to say this never happened. I'm sorry. That was one of those situations where I didn't see any other way but to retcon it. But we literally meant we were retconning the RP of over 50 people.
Yeah.
And it was rough because the guild leaders...
you have 2 weeks of constant role play, yeah.
Right. So the guild leaders all got together, and we all talked about it, and the 2 monster killers were flipping out. Everybody else was calm. Even the group that I thought was going to be completely obnoxious about it was like, you really need to take a Valium. This was dice. We were all in the group. We all saw the rolls. There's no way this was screwed up. You need to calm down. And he wouldn't, so he retconned it, and that was, 6 weeks of RP down the toilet.
Yeah, wow.
So
and all the
really
roleplay around it.
Yeah, and it was just a mess.
That's a month and a half of wasted time and effort.
Right.
Because
and we all just backtracked it, yeah.
Yeah, because somebody just couldn't
and actually,
let rolls be rolls.
Silver Circle didn't backtrack the whole thing. What we said is we fought somebody else and we won. And the other 2 guilds went along with us.
You just did another innocuous, made-up monster hunter.
It was just the made-up monster. You know how, and people have always asked me when I was playing that guild, how come you never have another guild play the monster killers? Let me tell you a story.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm glad you asked.
Yeah. We just picked a couple people. They played the bad guys. They rolled little tunes, and we just did it by dice. And there was never any real effort on the monster killer part at all.
Yeah. See, and wow. Yeah. That's the way you guys went about it. I mean, at that point, when someone's not willing, if you're not willing to accept, if you're going into combat and you're not willing to, you say one thing that you'll accept the roles, whatever it is, you need to keep your word, because from then on, I guarantee you those people did not have the role play they had beforehand. They had to probably become very insular, because why would you role play with somebody like that after that? Seeing them flip out after, and backtracking on the everything that they had promised and said. After a month and a half.
Sours you wanting to get out there and play with the other guilds.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one really scarred me. It took me a while because I never wanted to go through that again. And so while we did have other role play with other guilds, I've never, ever had another guild play the
bad guys or the hunters or the good guys or whatever you want to look at it.
The bad guys have to be simple chosen, small rolled people that have no emotional attachment to anybody.
Yeah.
That's just a rule. And I've never, ever, ever gone along. Every time that we've come up against somebody like that where they want to be I've been like, I'm sorry, that will only end in tears. And there's just simply no reason to do it. So, but otherwise I've had really good experiences with guild roleplay. But when you're doing the bad guys thing, I swear 3 out of 4 times it's had to be retcon.
Yeah. And that seems to be, it seems on paper, it always seems like it'd be a lot of fun to have like a rival guild, like a sister guild but you're just rivals. It never seems to work out most of the time, just because
people get attached to their character and then they don't want that
they
character
can't
to
imagine.
die,
The idea of loss and what comes out of like roleplay that comes out of that, they just can't handle. They have to be the Mary Sues, the Dristordens, all that stuff. And
Mary Sue Skyhopper.
That's right. And you just, you've got to be able, especially if you say you're going to do something. I don't go into any fight expecting to win. If I do, awesome. Especially random ones. But
10 plus years playing Rank Dots, I expected to die in year 1, and I just kept living.
Yeah.
And that made the character fun. I'm like, dude, he's going to die next week. All right, let's see what happens.
Yeah. I was always willing to kill Baka. If it really came down to it and somebody could manage it, I would have perma-killed her.
Which is why she hid all the tools from me.
Yes.
That's why you weren't allowed to use the
indeed.
microwave.
That's right.
Guildhall microwave was off limits. He would purposely... The reason he lost his privileges, I will just go into this story, was he would put a bag of popcorn in there and put it on there for 10 minutes and just stink up the whole place on purpose. And after a while, they had to ban him from the kitchen.
Revenge from Neriac.
Is there anything worse than an office environment than the asshole that doesn't know how to use a fucking microwave?
And for a minute, I thought you were going to go after me.
Oh, no, you just made the house smell like pot. Fun fact, if you're cooking tea in the microwave, like just iced tea.
I was about to ask.
And you put the tea bags in the cup and to heat it up, but you forget the ingredient known as water, and you microwave those for several minutes. It will start to smoke, and it does make your house smell like a high school bathroom. And then for a week solid, every time you use the microwave, it comes
like
back.
Yep.
Yeah, it smelled like pot in here for a week.
It was hilarious. I've done it twice. It's usually when I'm super tired.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a buddy who was like, he wanted a microwaved egg roll. I put that on there for 10 minutes. By the way, egg rolls do blacken.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was when I was a kid. So
Back in the SC days, I had nuked a bratwurst for I think I was put it in there. Mentally, I thought, all right, 2 minutes, and I'll pull it out in the half-minute mark. Except I hit 20 minutes.
Oh, shit.
I started smelling something, and I looked in there, and smoke billowing out of the microwave. So I don't know how it did not burn my hands. I opened it up. The back door was just right there. Grabbed it, threw it in the backyard, hosed it with water, and that thing just dissolved underwater like it just hit me. And I was like, well, so much for that bratwurst.
Just sizzled away, turned to ash.
It just turned to ash before my eyes.
Let me guess.
Have that Nazi in back of the,
Was its final words?
Last Crusade.
Let me guess its final words. Mr. Strafay, I don't feel so good. I don't want to go.
I heard an ominous voice saying, he chose poorly. I was like,
That's right.
He sure did.
He chose poorly. That was definitely not the cup of a carpenter. Stupid
right.
Nazi.
The microwave.
Chef Mike, as we call him around to the house. Let's see. So, someone being a turd. Yeah, that's usually where it starts. To get more specific, not wanting to take responsibility for your in-character actions, and leaves the leaders with no choice. Jazz, you had that one recently.
Yes.
An example of that.
Done amicably.
Right.
It was not negatively done, which is nice. It was just
But at the same time, it shouldn't have happened because you should have just taken your lumps.
Yes. I don't like when that happens, but when it happens, you deal with it in an amicable way as best as you can.
Especially when it's with your guildies. And that's the thing. This was a guild
it's with
member.
someone that you care about and you don't want
Other guilds you can walk away from. Unless your guild member is so pissed off they leave, which has happened.
Yes.
You still have to try to be like, all right, well, you're being a shithead, but okay, if we got no other choice.
Yeah, exactly.
I just like calling people shitheads. Because they are, all of them. But yeah, it's a lot of times too, it's that's an unfortunate thing that happens with a lot of people when people just don't want to take responsibility. Like maybe it didn't go the way they had. It's like the new Star Wars movies. Maybe things didn't go how they had expected in their fan fiction, so they're all pissed off and haughty that it's gone a different direction.
Fan fiction? Excuse me. That would be called extended universe, you troll face.
I'm not happy with it either.
See, I got your wife on my team on that one.
Yeah,
she wants a Jaina Solo. I want my Mara Jade. Frack those guys at Disney.
That's like getting Obama and Trump not to like each other. We're married. It's just, that's how, of course she's on your side.
Oh, that's bad.
But the question is, which one's which? Well, let me be clear. I don't see it as failure,
This guy, he doesn't
but
know what
rather
he's talking
as
about.
a permanent lack of success.
You're messing with the wrong guy.
I don't like to touch sandpaper. Who does, really? It's
no.
awful. It feels awful. It's really weird. Leave the politics to the professionals. I am the Senate.
I will say, yeah, that's a good one. That if I'm hopeful for the next movie.
Which
I
one?
maintain a small amount of hope. We'll let Disney
Oh, well,
do
it
their
is
thing.
J.J.
They did a
Abrams
good job
again.
Han Solo. Yeah, so I'm okay.
I
We'll
like
see what
Solo.
happens.
Solo was good. I don't understand why people shit on it. It was good.
Because
It
they
was a
were
fun
bad.
movie.
And I was like, dude, it's Han Solo. I'm going to go see it regardless.
Yeah, and he wasn't a bad Han Solo.
Yeah, it could be a dumpster fire, and I'm still gonna go.
Yeah,
so.
it was,
So
and
the
it was
dude-
fun.
You
He did
rob
fine.
Lando out of the new movie, but you put him in Han Solo. Of course, I'm going to go see Lando and freaking
Yeah.
Chewie. Han Solo, get out of here.
Yeah. But anyway, so Star
I'm
Trek.
just going to say I call Ray Jaina. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, she does call Ray Jaina. She's her new Jaina Solo. So
I mean, we'll see.
That's how I get around that. She's my Jaina. She's not Ray.
So one other thing is when someone starts something under false pretenses, and then they're like, oh, this is they give the outline, and well, secretly they're going to end up in the spotlight, or they're trying to rewrite history. I think I told the story of the Spectre Cartel, where this is EverQuest 2. It was a long established guild. They had years of history. The person that originally created it had passed it on. That person had passed it on. It was like a mafia family thing. So when one person left the game or something like that, they passed it on to the next, and so on and so forth. And they did a good job of it. And then they introduced a special snowflake, and I use that term literally in this case, because it was Strafe's Psycho. That had actually been part of this guild when, it was in between things. And
Yes.
they had conscripted another person to basically rewrite the guild's history so that they were there at the founding of this guild.
Just like they were with Mayoung's side when he was born, the same derpy deal.
Right. Oh, jeez, I didn't even know that one.
Well, not exactly. I'm
Oh, okay. Well, the things were so ridiculous, it was absolutely... I would believe it.
They were part of that family
Yeah.
early on. And I was like, okay, well,
Yeah.
whatever.
But so they had come up with an event. They had started using. There was an NPC that was also, what they didn't know was also someone's player character. But they had when they weren't on, they actually had the NPC there. It was their like portal maker and stuff like that, and the housing that EQ2 had. And so they had said that they knew him back from the beginning, unknowing that this was somebody's character, and they didn't have permission to do that. But they had gone through all this plot, and they had started doing the events, and without including the leadership, they weren't a leader; they were just a member. But they were there. She's somebody that always tried to rise in the ranks. She always tried to snag the most power possible. Always trying to manipulate any and everyone around them. And once they started doing this, the event actually came around where they were going to be like, oh yeah, I'm actually one of the original leaders of this back in the day and stuff like that. And they got wind of that. Like, the event came to a dead stop, like a half hour into it. And they were like, wait, what? And I sent him tells like, yeah, did you guys approve all this stuff? Like, they're saying that they've been in your, were the original founder of your guild and all this. She's like, oh, fuck no. Things went quiet for about 10 minutes. And then the next message in the guild is like, this event has not happened. It's having to be retconned because we gave no permission whatsoever for anybody involved in this to actually rewrite our history like that and insert themselves. And they, one of the problems was they used a proxy, basically, one of their followers, for lack of a better word, because sometimes those people get them. And she took the brunt of it, but I made sure behind the scenes to like, okay, like she was stupid for following it, but she's an idiot. This one over here, that's your Emperor Palpatine. That right there, that's the one you want to look out for, because they're the ones. They're the one that this story was saying was there from the get-go. You know, exactly. So it's treason then.
Goodbye, Kit Fisto. You barely put up a fight.
Yeah, right. You're supposed to be one of the better, like, underwaist window and stuff like that, and you guys get bitch slapped in 3 seconds.
Hey, man, I still wish Mace would have took him out.
Yeah, there you go, Whoop-Dee-Dee. I am the guild.
I pity the Sith Lord. Slice.
I pity the fool. So, you know, that was a really extreme example. But, you know, when people do those storylines like that, you can't have ulterior motives, you know, at least tell the guild leaders and things like that, especially if you're rewriting history. You know, if you're retconning, because that's basically, that right there is she was trying to retcon some of their history and change it, you know, like the way movies and TVs do, and without having permission.
Yeah, I did go over well.
Yeah, and, you know, so it ended up her retcon got retconned. You know? People, you know, can't do that. That right there was a legitimate thing, because they can't allow that to keep going. Another one is someone claiming a thing and was going to be around, and then they just vanish. Say with a snap of a finger. You know, after it barely started, and you have no idea where they're at, no idea what happened to them. Doubt it if they're ever going to come around again. You can play it off, I guess, but some people, you know, I think, Jazz, I think you've had a few times where you start something with somebody and then they just like, poof.
Yep. Sadly, far, far too often.
Yeah, and so you're like, you know, and if you're, especially when you're, like if you're, you know, like it's a quote unquote friend, because, you know, most friends don't vanish without a clue, you know, or a word or anything like that. But, you know, if you started new characters together and you're like, yeah, well, we have this plot and we're going to do this, and then they're gone.
Yep.
And you're left with a character that was supposed to have interaction with them, but it didn't have enough to even get off on their feet. Well, you know, sometimes you just might have to retcon that, and you can recycle the character, or you end up just deleting it and forgetting the whole thing even happened. You know?
Yep.
So that's
true.
Another one here is, where am I at? Oh, there we go. OOC issues that cannot be reconciled, and you must part ways. Oops. Sorry, my nose itches. I mean, obviously, almost all retcons are because of OOC issues. What was that one you were telling me about in Star Wars, Sib, today?
It was my character and another character. He had scripted out a whole RP. It was when I was newer to RP and not real good at it. So he had wrote out a whole story, and he asked me, it was a guy in the guild, asked me if I wanted to do it with him, and I was like, sure. So it was a whole thing of like, he was a Sith Lord, and she got hurt, and Ashen's character came to save her. Well, he's like, you know, told the guy, okay, you're going to be in trouble for this. Well, when the guild actually confronted him about it, he was like, oh, no, my character doesn't get in trouble.
I love that one. I've heard that one so many times.
He ended up leaving the guild, and just like nothing happened. He's like, no, nothing happened then, because my character doesn't get in trouble. Yep. So I was like, okay, that was like one of my first experiences in role play, and I was like,
yeah,
like, huh, okay,
yeah,
it never happened. So, but that was, I don't have a lot of experiences in the Retcon yet. I mean, I don't know why. I just don't. But that was one of the few ones that I had.
Yeah.
The other one was in Star Wars 2.
Yeah.
And I had wrote a whole backstory for my character and how she wanted to kill her master, which was a
Oh, I
Sith
remember
Lord.
that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and this guy that was part of the story went in and killed the master for her. Just took over the whole story.
And
Just
not in game. He just wrote up a story on a forum.
On the forums and took over my whole story, my whole backstory. Just took it over. And I was like, I didn't know what to do.
She was real upset about it. She was new to roleplay and stuff at the time. She was real upset. Like,
Oh,
well, does that mean
okay.
I can't? I was like, no, it doesn't. It means we need to have a talk with this guy, and he needs to delete it because he doesn't get to take your made-up bad guy, your former master, which wasn't an NPC, but we had plans for like it's Jedi, it's Sith stuff, her master had taught her, but he was very bad and stuff like that, so they were plotting to go and kill him themselves, and then the story was basically that the other guy that wrote just did an orbital strike and was laughing maniacally on a hill as the complex that the master was in burned down before him. It's like, well, no, you don't have permission to kill off somebody else's NPC character like that, let alone one that was a plot point.
So
and it left a
little...
super sour taste in her mouth. She was real upset about it for a while.
Well, I didn't know how to handle it. That was my problem. So, but no, Ashen stepped in and he worked everything out for me.
Yeah. Well, it's even still with that, you were like, it bummed you out because you're like,
yeah,
you didn't. It was the first time. I think that was even before the other guy thing happened. I think that was the first time you were like, well, now what? Well, that's not fair. We had plans. And it was, I don't know. And we confronted him and was like, dude, why did you write that story? You can't kill her off like that. It's like, oh, I thought it was just an NPC. Anybody could take control. I was like, well, no. Since when has that ever been a thing? He's like, oh, sorry. I'll just delete it.
Yes,
you will. Yeah. Like, I'm
But
sorry. I don't care how long you spent typing that out. And it didn't happen.
That was my 2 Retcon stories. Other than that, I really don't have a lot of experience with the Retcon.
Yeah, which is good, the less experience you have with it, typically the better, because it means shit's gone south. But, that's the, not taking consequences thing. That's really is, especially when it comes to individuals, like, as you could tell from Jazz's burst of laughter. the whole, well, I don't get in trouble, or, well, that's not how I had planned on it, so I
really, really wish that was unusual.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's the same people over and over again, or maybe on different characters across different games, but it's typically the same person or same type of people one and again.
I have heard that phrase so many times. That's why I laughed. Is that it's like they all read from the same script. It's a little spooky.
Yeah, or my character's too powerful, or what I saw in ESO is I'm a vampire. You can't do that. I can't die.
Oh, totally can do it. And
have you never seen Buffy?
There's also that special event when you take a break for a month, come back, and everything you thought was going on was all gone because it was inconvenient for that person's achievement to whatever their next goal was, and suddenly most of your RPs is now in the trash bin.
Yeah, because it got in the way of advancement, quote unquote.
Advancement, yes, in someone's pants. Anyway.
Yes.
It's all right, Sibh'Bae. I know you'll rise to the occasion again.
Oh.
What?
I did know it came
baby.
on mess, so it is what it is.
It's not bad.
It's funny stuff, though.
Right, it's a joke. Oh, shut up, you and Faye. You know it was funny. You laughed.
Hey, don't pick on the uni.
I'll pick on her. I'm her daddy.
Oh, Lord.
There are so many wrong things about that statement.
What? Explain, Jazz. No. Okay, so that's the oh, wait, no, we got one more. When you realize you've made a character faux pas, as a Kishmas example, Fusro Da. For example, creating a character too close to an existing popular character, the Drizzt clones. If you're making, like, I'm Darth Vader's stepson from another family.
No.
Yeah, no.
I'm Emperor Palpatine's love child.
No.
I'm Antonio Babel and Candelar's baby from A Secret Affair.
These people exist, which is why they're called purple Wookiees. I'm saying.
I'm Doctor Who's cousin, Professor Who.
Professor Who.
Professor Who.
I really
From
wish.
LS.
Right. Ooh, loo, 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 loo. I don't know. I can't remember what the Who's sing. But I can understand if you've made, it's one of those things that's where it's a good example. If you've just, you realize like your character's not based in lore, like you've over exaggerated, or you had a misunderstanding of what, like you misread something and you're like, oh, yeah, like I said, Kishmas, when his first character could do the Fusro Da stuff from Elder Scrolls, even though, or from Skyrim, even though it was, 1,000 years before that was a thing. He's like, oh, well, shit, nobody told me. So he undid all that stuff. He had to kind of retcon that. But that's definitely an acceptable kind of thing, because that's, especially if you catch it early on, and you're like, oh, and somebody lets you know, and that's really more, it could be seen less of it might be a personal retcon, but it's more of a revision as well. And revisions are perfectly, that's one thing, a lot of these things, like that thing you were talking about, Jazz, with your Monster Hunter guild, not going to be confused with the game that's actually good. You gave them a compromise. You didn't retcon the whole thing right out of hand. You tried to revise it. You tried to compromise into the, individual battles, and whoever wins the most of individual battles, they'll be the winners. It's like, okay, well, and even to me, like, that seems actually like a more fair system than just, 3 random rolls,
Well, that was their choice. They didn't want to originally.
Oh, okay. Well, see, in that case, they're just fucktards.
Yeah. Right. They wanted to have it be all or nothing because I think they figured they'd win.
Right. Which, still 50.
Yeah, it's the 50-50 chance. And
it's what we went into the gambler's fallacy in another episode. It's
yeah.
It doesn't work that way. Sorry. Look, I'm just reading the chat there. Wow. By the way, too, we still have about 20 episodes in the show. If you do want to call in, maybe if you got a really bad retcon story.
Minutes?
Huh? Yeah, I said that. 20 minutes.
It would sound like 20 episodes in the show. Maybe I'm just tired. Could be.
Yeah, have another hit of speed.
Sage. I think she's like token behind your back, bro.
It will be legal here. Okay, real quick, another political story. Real fun. You remember how I told you guys that we passed pot here in Oklahoma, and that the FDA people at the top made it like illegal to do stuff? Like if you did it, you'd lose your job. You could lose your job, your ability to carry a gun, your children, things like that.
Yeah.
Guess who had to step down and is under federal investigation?
The person who did that?
For 2 separate scandals. Apparently, she was caught, she was getting life-threatening emails from pro-pot people. Only problem with that is she was sending them to herself.
I was going to say, pot people don't generally go all hard.
Yeah, dude, I'm totally going to... Wait. I'm totally going to kill you.
But
Amen
first,
it.
I gotta
After I
get my
Cheetos.
I get my Cheetos, and I'm gonna mix it with Honey-O's because
We're gonna go,
Honey-O's.
but first we're gonna stop at Taco Bell and get the Doritos taco. Yeah, and apparently the other thing was that she was caught in another scandal with a pharmaceutical representative in job opportunity switching or like exchanges and things like
Oh,
that.
of course.
So now, of course, they've had to completely, do it like it should have been done to beginning and not have unelected bureaucrats making laws.
Making decisions for people? Yeah, that's kind of how it works.
Yep. So, just
Look,
felt so good.
Rahanar and Unife both heard 20 episodes.
Yeah.
I'm not alone.
Well, they're equally as bad as you are.
Oh.
I know what I said, and I will edit it after the fact in the podcast to make sure that it sounds exactly like that.
Yeah, there we go, right there.
So get your bell of shame out now.
It'll be that. Yeah, so we've only got 20 minutes left in the episode. But yeah, you got 20 minutes left in the episode. If you want to give us a call, our RPMMORadio.com/Discord. Jump in the caller waiting room. If you've got a shit story that you've had to retcon things on or something like that, feel free to let us know.
We love to share.
But
Now, I have seen a retcon that retconned the retcon so they could get back to the original thing they retconned.
really,
That just gave me a headache.
Same offender. You all know them well.
Goodness. Why does this not shock me?
it definitely, whoever it was, I think it was the Truth Bob or it may have been Rahanar that said it's like Inception with a better plot. That's definitely Inception with a better plot. Oh, man. Sorry. There, I think I finally got it. Wow, only an hour and a half into the episode. But, yeah, so, a few reasons why you should not do it.
I got one.
Okay.
It's a huge waste of time if you do.
Huge, giant.
There's a good one.
Huge.
Huge.
Huge. Huge.
Just like everything about me, it's huge.
Like that head on top of your shoulders.
No, that's just my...
Huge.
motherfucker.
Oh, what's the matter?
I don't know. Something just popped in my neck.
After that shot, bro.
There we go. That hurt. I don't know. Something made I have like Rice Krispies in my spine.
Uh,
Ew.
Yeah, that's not good. So, right, I don't know what's going on with the chat
What
up
was
there.
that?
I don't know. But but one thing. Reasons you shouldn't do it. Years of RP going away because of a falling out. Like if you've been doing something for years and years and years and years, and somebody ends up to be a complete psychopath, Jazz, you don't retcon the entire thing. And you didn't,
Nope, and I
actually.
didn't. No, I didn't. No, I did not.
As
I took
tempting
it.
as I'm sure it was, but it was...
Oh, yes.
It was part of guild lore and guild history.
There
You
was
can't do it.
literally no way to do it. It was 6 years in. I mean, it was just like, there's no way.
Yeah.
We have to just go with this. So he remained, even though he retconned the whole thing initially
Yeah.
in his RP, but I said, that's your choice if you want to. And most people just pretended he was crazy.
Yeah.
Even
and that,
people outside of the guild that, were just like, yes, you were.
yeah.
that was the great time of when I joined, and that had already gone down. But I do remember him coming back, spreading lots of crap, saying our retcon wasn't the established lore in the Freeport RP circle.
Yeah. He
And
tried.
I think he got laughed out of town.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So before we go to the next one, let's go ahead and go to our phone lines as soon as this stupid thing lets me actually click on stuff. And go to the Truth Bob, also known as Psycho Chinchilla in Discord. What's
The
going
Truth
on,
Bob.
Bob?
Hola.
Hello.
You're the best, Bob.
I try.
You're even
But
better
it's
than
okay.
Shafay.
Give me compliments.
Wait, what?
What? So what have you got, Bob?
I was actually going to mention a retcon story, but this was of a different nature. It was more just when drama kind of gets too unbearable that you need to retcon a story just because it got out of hand. And this was back when, as you know, or as you mentioned, Ashen, I am currently in the Servants of the Tribunal. And this was back when I was an Ordinator Initiate, one of those. It was still back in yonder 2017.
All hail the new commander. Just saying.
Long may he reign.
Sounds like somebody's doing a little butt kissing.
Maybe a little.
It's okay. It works. I'm a kind of a nerd, so it's okay.
He's got something you can stroke. It's his ego, you maniac. It's his ego.
We're wearing gold hats in no time.
Okay, let's get back to this story.
Yeah, so what you got?
So this involved, I believe, 3 people that were no longer in the guild anymore. And there's good reason, because they were the kind of people that, they loved drama. This is what they revolved around, drama. What happened was one person slept with one person, and then they slept with another person. So basically the drama escalated, and it got to a point where I believe Regier, who, Kishmis, was involved. And it got so out of hand that, argument, like basically insults were thrown, all that. Everyone was so stressed that they just had to retcon it to a point where OOC, no one could take it.
Oh, yeah, that's actually a good reason.
And it's just one of those retcons where it's to the point, I mean, obviously, eventually they left the guild, luckily. All 3 of them. They were gone. But it was one of those things where you just had to retcon it almost mentally because it was just, they were drama starters. So, I know it was a short story. I could have probably told it better, but...
You did fine.
No, you did great.
No, it was
You did
terrible.
better than me.
It was awful. It was so bad. No, it's just fine, man. Everyone tells stories differently, but no, that's yeah, and like that's a really good reason, like that the just the OOC bullshit of it gets to the point where you're like, you know what? We're as a guild and leaders, we're washing our hands of this. You guys, as far as we're concerned, it didn't happen. Fuck yourself. Have a good night.
Exactly.
No, that is a good reason.
Yeah. It's not, guild leaders have and officers have a certain responsibility to, help put out brush fires. They're not there to put out, the fucking fire at Yellowstone National Park. They're normal
Nor should
people.
they have to.
Yeah. That's not what they're
And
there
I have
for.
to say kudos to all of you who step up and take a position like that, because coming from somebody that, like me, I would never be able to do that. Never. So I have mucho respect for you that take leader roles in the guilds. So that's just what you have to deal with. I can't even imagine. I've only heard.
Yeah.
This might be off topic, but one thing I learned from people that tend to be in officer roles, they tend to do well when they're in business positions. And part of that is because literally business positions have to manage people and deal with this kind of bullshit all the time. So it's kind of comes down to, those experiences of dealing with people and just being able to listen almost.
No, that makes sense.
Yep.
It really does.
Yeah, and that's a lot of that stuff is just listening and then being like, all right, well, you brought me into this. Remember that.
This was your
You may not like the outcome, but here it comes. Buckle in, Sally. It's gonna get ugly.
Yeah, and that's very much the truth, because when I started managing my guild, I had gone from a type A personality and a lot of business experience to not being able to work at all. So when I started managing the guild, I was like, boy, this feels familiar.
Right. Yep.
As it
all
really
too much
is.
sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like a cross, and not to be mean to people, but really, I ran a daycare full of 26 toddlers total. And I had anywhere from 10 to 15 toddlers at any given time in the house between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. And I had 3 helpers, and it was we did everything in a pattern, and that made it a lot easier, kind of like an assembly line. And it was a great time for me, but it was also very stressful because you had to manage the parents, not just the kids. Kids were easy. The parents were a pain in the ass. You had to manage social workers because these were all low-income kids, and I had to deal with their social workers and all that other nonsense. And this was back in the late 80s when it was just stupid complicated. And I also had a lot of business experience working in the corporate world before I had done that. So when I started doing this, I was like, this really feels like a marriage between a daycare center and a corporate boardroom.
I mean, let's be realistic. The daycare center part is very applicable because we're all just, grown children.
We are.
Realistic.
Yeah.
That is
cats
so
in a
true.
guild at the best of times.
Yeah.
The negotiation, the tempers, it all kind of comes back to that. And it's just kind of funny that experience led me to guild leading, which because I was hungry to do something that took up my time because I had 18 hours a day to kill, to where now I love it. And it's something that I enjoy. And it is a second job, but it has its own place now. It's not as consuming as it was before because I've learned how to use my officers, right, guys? They're all quiet.
Silent, a hush falls over the crowd.
What's an officer?
So
Yeah,
I've been playing Star Trek recently just to get away from people. No. All right. Well, I appreciate you calling in, Bob. And despite what you think, no, the story was just fine and actually very apt. So you're all good.
Yes, it was.
You're all good, man. But
Thank
All
you for
right,
calling
good. Just
in.
making sure.
yeah, no.
Bob.
Anytime you want to call in, feel free. You got my number. That's right.
Oh, baby.
That's
Oh,
right.
jeez.
Oh my. But all right. Well, appreciate you calling RPMMO Radio, Bob. You have a good night.
You guys have a great night.
Later.
Bye.
So, all right. Well, before we get one more caller on the line, let's go ahead and hit the last bit of this real quick. The other reason you should not, because it's easier than coming up with an in-character solution or a workaround, like what Jazz tried to do earlier.
Yes.
Like we said, it's supposed to be a last-ditch effort, it's not your go-to device. You shouldn't be doing that. That's not a good reason. You always have to try to come up with alternatives.
Ultimately, you're just hurting the RP community at large. Even if it's
Yeah.
in your small corner, it's going to reflect out and give your guild a reputation.
Yeah, and often, and if you're doing it in your guild, it's going to make people like, well, I don't want to roleplay with that guy. He's always causing, the troubles and things like that. Or everything that they do is didn't happen, so you're just wasting time, or they don't take you can get your reputation. It's the only thing online you really have that's, you can help protect. And if you get that reputation for somebody that throws a fit and has every time they lose or they don't get their way, then you got in retcons everything, you got no one to blame but yourself. That's why you should always use it as a last ditch effort.
Yep.
And the final one we have here too is because the RP started will have consequences, and you'd rather retcon it like a bitch than deal with it.
Yep.
Yeah, I've seen it a lot.
Yeah, well, that's especially when it comes with an individual. That's typically seems to me to be the largest reason that somebody is losing, somebody didn't get their way, something didn't go how they had wanted, their character doesn't look super uber awesome until it cool and stuff. So this just didn't happen, So so it just, I'm gonna have to say it didn't happen now. Sorry for wasting your time. I'm gonna go bitch out, because I'm a bitch. I have pants that say juicy on the butt. And I'm 250 pounds of sexy. All right, well that got creepy. So,
Yeah.
All right. Before we wrap the show up, let's go to our final caller on the call lines, the great Whoop Diddy. What's going on, Whoop?
Hello, welcome.
All right,
Hey, what's up?
What's happening,
There he
brother?
is.
So what have you got, Whoop Diddy? No pressure. Just the end of the show. The success or failure of this entire episode hinges on how great your story is.
It's less a story and more like feedback.
That works too.
Or it's just a testament to how good the topic selection of this show is, because it's
Hear that,
topical
Rahanar?
for
Someone respects you.
most people who have any amount of RP experience beyond newbie.
Yeah.
I like this guy. Keep talking.
Whoops.
Damn it, Jazz.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
All right, go ahead. Sorry, no more interruptions, Jazz.
Like you guys have seen me talking about in the Discord, I'm kind of in the process of getting back into RP, and I'm kind of in the process of, I'm calling it a functional retcon, where since so much of my old crowd has disappeared, basically I'm calling what my character did her backstory now, and going from there. So character threads that never really panned out, or storylines that just kind of got aborted in the old guild, now have the potential to come back in some form and actually see completion.
You know what you could do? Some of those old experiences turn to your backstory. You don't have to retcon everything.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what he was saying. It wasn't... Yeah, it sounds like you basically took what came before and have now turned that in... I mean, as it would have been if you had continued it, basically, as backstory. But now that everybody's gone, all those dangling plot threads and things like that, now if something comes up, you can be like, oh, hey, and you can waggle that strand of plot thread in front of some of the new people you're meeting, and, maybe they'll tug on it, and... Wow, this is sounding extremely sexual, way more than I had actually intended to for a string analogy. But and then pull on. Is that that's kind of what you're getting at?
Yeah, more or less. There were storylines that were meant to explore different things about the character and the people around her, and since that's not possible anymore, may as well repurpose it and use it for other people and see how it goes differently this time up to the point where it left off, and two, see what the end looks like now that that's a chance that can be taken again.
Yeah, and that's actually not a bad use of that, really. I mean, you've all your previous people are gone. They're likely not coming back, and even if they did, you could probably weave it back in there anyway. But that's not, a bad. It's it's. I wouldn't say it's actually so much a retcon as just just basically just kind of continuing it on and maybe closing down some, shutting the windows and doors on a few things, and no, you're not locking the key and throwing it away, but just waiting to see what comes around. But that is a good way of doing that, especially when you've been gone for so long.
Yeah, I guess the part that makes it a retcon in my mind is the fact that I'm not all that attached to what happened, so I'm totally willing to throw out what doesn't work anymore, or tweak it until it does.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Oh, hey, T just arrived.
Yeah, I see that. With her cute little icons. The T. But no, yeah, that's actually very good use of that. It's that one's definitely situational, because not a lot of people that have left, and when they come back, everybody they knew is basically gone. That doesn't happen all that often, but as MMOs are more and more thinned out, I imagine it probably happens more than I probably realize. It's just, like if I went back to EQ2 right now, man, I'm pretty sure it'd be a ghost town. It'd probably be like 5.
That serves a trap. Don't do it.
Oh, no, I wouldn't. No, I'm not giving Daybreak Game any more money. I don't pay for Russia to hack our elections.
Because the few role players that remember you will latch on like Soul Succubus, man.
Like that Strophe guy that still secretly lurks there.
What you talking about, man?
What you talking about?
That place. I nuked that place from orbit and left.
Yeah, I will say I actually fully deleted off my computer the other day. Finally. I have had it on there for this whole time. I just like, nope, you know what? Done. But no, I appreciate you calling in, Whoopdeedee. That actually is, it's a good use of that, too.
Always fun.
Yep. All right.
you
Well, you
so
have a good
much.
night. Appreciate you calling in, brother.
See ya.
Later. All right. So with that, I think that pretty much hits everything. And apparently, Yunfei can't actually uninstall EQ2 because she's weak. She is weak. You need to be strong like Russian women, Yunfei. You can do it, little one.
Nuke the side from orbit, Yunfei.
That's right.
Only way
You
to be
click
sure.
the little button and you nuke it from orbit. You are not going to give them any more of your monies.
That's right.
We have rubles. We don't use monies. We use rubles. So that will be the end of this. How do you say this? RPMMORadio. I don't know why it went Spanish, but you know. So yeah. Anybody else have anything before we go?
I was mesmerized by your rolling R's.
I think we were all just seeing how far it would go.
Oh, I can keep going.
No.
Oh, no. You're good.
Please don't.
You did well.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah.
So everyone's all right then.
Yeah, we're good.
All right. Well, in that case, I want to thank everybody here for listening to RPMMO Radio, especially those in the motherland. We appreciate every single one of you that tunes in here every Saturday at 7 Central Time over at twitch.tv/RPMMO Radio. And you too can always join us at rpmmoradio.com/discord. Yes, that is right. Remember, comrades, vote for Lucandelier because the others suck. Haha, this is
Vote
right.
Steel.
So with that, everybody tune in next time for Halflings and retconning them out of all literature. Spoiler alert, the bad guys are gonna win a lot more and the world will still be a better place without them. Next time on RPMMO Radio. Good night, everybody.
Night.
The thoughts and opinions of those on RPM Radio are just that and should not be taken as the gospel truth, but pretty close to it. Music, as always, is provided by Husky by the Geek. Visit him at youtube.com/HuskyByTheGeek to hear all his great game rock covers and original music. Remember, vote Russian.